Have any sponsorship this week, right? All right, let's do it. Hello, this is Alonzo Bodden. I want to welcome you to episode 375 of my podcast, Who's Paying Attention? Now, first I want to tell you that I may sound a little nasal, a little stuffed up. I do not have COVID. I tested negative. What I do have are some allergies flaring up, so please forgive the funny voice. Now, I am so happy to have this guest. He and I go back. We were trying to figure it out. I've been doing comedy 29 years, so we've known each other at least 28 years. He is, by some accounts, the original Mexican comic. I think he's the first one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, TV, film, but the thing I truly love about this guest, and I've said this for years, you are not a comic in LA until you have done one of his shows. He has run so many shows all over town as a comic, as a host, as a producer. Everyone in LA comedy, everyone loves this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Rudy Moreno.
Wow, thank you, Alonzo. That's nice, man.
Man, it is true, buddy. It is
Thank
true.
you.
I remember, okay, I'm gonna go back to the first show that you booked me on. Now, I don't remember exactly where it was,
Man.
but I remember the joke, because the joke was either going to go over or it was going to get me killed. It was my first time doing a Latino show,
Okay.
and I said, man, I love Mexicans. Good to see someone treated worse than black people.
Yeah, I remember that. That is the absolute truth, man. Yeah.
So what, your career, I don't know that is there a through line in your career? Because you seem to have done everything.
Well, I've been fortunate. I've been fortunate in some things, man. Just I've done TV. I've done film. I did some theater. I did radio back when I was young. And I've just been doing comedy. Now I have a rock and roll band now, a classic rock band at this age. And
Of course you do.
Yeah, but I didn't realize you have to be lifting stuff, amplifiers and speakers and all that stuff, man. So I was like, okay, what am I doing,
But you've been involved with music forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I know band. Here's another thing to my audience. Rudy knows everybody. And that was always funny to me, because I would just mention somebody at random. Like I did a Soul Train cruise, and I was talking about, yeah, man, I met War, and Rudy's like, yeah, I know those guys.
Yeah, well.
DW3, yeah, I know those guys.
Well, because I owe money, man. That's why.
This was the craziest one, and there was a documentary or something about the Night Stalker. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And in the documentary, they described this, I think he was Mexican, definitely Latino cop, and he was like the first one to make detective in the LAPD, and Rudy's like, yeah, I know him.
Yeah, yeah, I know him too, man. So, I know the Night Stalker. No, I don't know the Night Stalker, but yeah. But,
So how does that come about? Is that just because you grew up here, or how do you know everybody?
Well, I'm not sure, man. First of all, Gil Carrillo was with the LA County Sheriff's Department. I used to do a lot of work for the Sheriff's Department. They had a National Latino Peace Officers Association. They had this, they had that. They always called me because I lived in the neighborhood where they were located. So, where their headquarters is located. So I did a lot of things for them, and Gil Carrillo has always been real supportive. All these other bands, I used to open for them for one reason or another. Well, get that guy, He'll do it for free. So, so I would do that. But yeah, I've known all these cats because I was in the guy that's getting me started in comedy was a guy named Rudy Salas, and he had a band called Tierra.
Remember Tierra?
Yeah, and we were from the same neighborhood, Lincoln Heights, and so he started having me open for them. And then I met the guys from War, and I would open for them for all the acts, all the Mexican acts or the Latino acts, right? So we just became friends. They're still doing it. I'm still doing it. We're all 100 years old, man. But but yeah, it's still fun.
So I want to talk to you about that, because this is another thing about you and your career.
Okay.
You joke about being 100 years old and being around forever and stuff, but even 30 years ago. And
right.
We aren't that much different in age, but even then, like when I was a new comic, you gave me a shot.
Right.
And you ran these shows, and you would always put new comics on with the veterans.
Right.
And now you still do that.
Right.
So what is that about? And it's a great thing, by the way. To the people listening, this is a selfish business, and this is like everybody's afraid of someone else getting their shot, right? Someone else getting their show, someone else getting this or that. Yet you have been remarkably generous in giving people that shot. Thanks. So what's that about?
Well, I'll tell you, when I started, I was already 33 years old, man, right? So it wasn't, I didn't realize all the gossip and the competition and all this, I knew it amongst musicians, but I didn't know it amongst comics. It was all a new world to me, man. So, comics would say, hey, man, have a good show, bro. Kick ass. Then they'll be over here, I hope he dies, man. I hope nothing goes wrong. I hope everything goes wrong, right? But it's that competition that's not really up front. But when we started, we weren't able to go into the clubs, the Latino. There was no Latino market other than George Lopez and Paul Rodriguez and probably Mencia. And so we were working all these little clubs. Gilbert Esquivel, myself, Willie Barcena, Jeff Garcia, all these cats that we started together. And we would work in restaurants and bars and, parking lots and liquor stores or wherever we could do it. But we started meeting some of the older guys, the vets that were in this game, and they would give us a chance. So when we finally got the rooms, when I finally got the Ice House room, back, what was supposed to be a 30-day experiment turned into 22 years, we wanted to give the new guys a chance because we wanted to see them. A lot of new guys have passed me and made a lot of money now, and I don't hear from them. But but that's how it goes, man. But we always wanted to give somebody a chance because they gave us a chance.
Right.
Guys like Vic Dunlop and those guys that are no longer with us, rest in peace. But they gave us a shot. So, that's what we learned to do, some of us anyway.
Well, you've always, like I say, you've always been generous about doing that. Now, the Ice House, to our listeners, is or was the longest running continuous comedy club, right? They started doing comedy, in the 60s?
1960. Yeah. In
1960.
Right.
You had it for how long? And this was the thing. Rudy ran a show there every Wednesday night. For how long?
Almost 22 years.
22 years. Yeah. And Rudy would always tell you, yeah, I'm headlining on Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, that's the only time, man. That was the only time I got the headlining spot. That was hilarious. I think you told me that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But you have such a great history with that club and with the growth, the growth of Latino comedy. I mean, you talk about these names, about Jeff Garcia and Willie Barcena and all that, but you also, obviously Gabe Iglesias, the big, big literally and physically. But we love him. We love him. He started, but you saw a lot of these Latin comics start, and when he says they did shows in restaurants and liquor stores, there's not a comic that Felipe Esparza, who's blowing up now, right? And we didn't see that coming.
Not at all.
We were like, is he going to not be high long enough? And then he was like, no, I work high. And I love Felipe. But tortillas.
I went there once, man. Once was enough for me. I'll tell you what happened at Tortillas. Felipe says, hey, fool, you want to do a spot? I said, yeah, man. I said, not really, but I'll do it. I needed the $50 or $40, whatever it was. I get there, and it's a late running show. So I go up. I'm supposed to go up at 9. I went up at 11 because the show ran for about 6 hours a night. It ran, right? And these two women on either side of the stage start arguing, man. And they were like, well, come on. And I'm in the middle of this, right? And I'm thinking, hey, you guys ever notice? And these chicks are yelling at each other. They get on the stage and they start to fight. I don't know what to do, man. So I start announcing the fight. Oh, hit her in the head with a beer bottle. Oh, look at that, right? And I'm doing all this. The security comes, he picks one up, and he takes her out the door to the right. The door's locked because they had the doors chained. So now he's bringing her back while I'm finishing my set and running right in front of me, and people are throwing shit at her. And can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay. And they're throwing stuff at her, and this other woman over here is yelling at her, and they're trying to calm her down. That was my experience at Tortillas, right? I think I did 3 out of my 20 minutes, man. That was the end of that.
I remember that night, and we were cracking up because, and this is a true comic, right? That, okay, when you talk about throw him lemons and he'll make lemonade, throw him 2 girls fighting and he'll become a girls fight announcer.
Right, exactly.
And people don't realize that when we talk about building shops, when we talk about working, it's like doing that and then you go to an A room like the Ice House or something, and you just have an audience that's well behaved and sitting in front of you.
Right.
People don't realize, like, do you know how easy this is? Like, there is no, and listen, you went through a physical threat way before it was a thing. You know, now everybody's like, oh, what happens if there's a fight on stage? Rudy's like, let me tell you something.
Oh, I got plenty of those, man. I had to pick up the microphone stand one time. These three guys rushed the stage. Another time, Kevin, Kevin Jordan?
Yeah, Kevin Jordan. He's ex-cop.
Ex-cop, right? Mm-hmm. He's about 5'2" or something.
Yeah. Smallest cop in the history of police.
Kept him in the glove compartment. I don't know. I brought him up on stage, and then I went out to get a bottle of water in the bar, and I came back into the room, and these two big bikers are on stage threatening him. And, you know, Kevin's not going to back down. I'm like, right. Kevin, this guy's going to put you in his pocket, man, you know. So I walk up, and Jimmy Burns walks up, you know, and neither one of us are, you know, karate kings or anything like that, but it was just that threat of, hey, man, no, this is a comic. You know, we're going to have to protect him. All of us are going to get our ass kicked by these bikers, but it's not going to be that easy because you can't be threatening a comic like that. We're all kind of protective of each other, you know.
Yeah, and that you know, it came out publicly, obviously, when some of the biggest A-level stars do it. But they don't understand that as comics, we've always pushed buttons, right? We've always been, absolutely. A comic isn't afraid to tell the truth. And every now and then, that could upset someone in the crowd.
Right.
Are those your crazy? How many times?
Oh man. Okay.
Here's a question they won't ask you on the Tonight Show.
Okay.
How many times have you done comedy under threat of physical violence?
Every time I go up on stage, you know? It's just, you know, it just depends, man, where you're at. You know, if you're in town, well, you know where to run to. You know, but if you're like in other parts of the country, man, you know, there's nobody there that you know. You're on your own, man, you know. But it's happened a few times. It's happened a few times where people are coming up with bottles in their hand or threatening to come up on stage, and I had to get the mic stand and kind of, you know, push them back with it. And not all the time, but it's been enough times, man, you know what I mean?
Now, I'm going to go to the opposite end of the spectrum.
Okay.
You are one of the most generous in comedy.
Thanks.
That there is. I have done numerous benefits with you for the sheriff's department, police department. Sometimes people are sick. A cancer patient needs money, and you're the guy who does the fundraiser. But the biggest one, and probably the longest one you did, was for the kids at Christmas. You've been Santa for how long?
30 years. We did 30 years last year, and that was the end. You know, because nobody brought me nothing. No, I'm just kidding. No, thanks to you, man, because you were always there, you know.
Well, listen, my part was easy. I just brought gifts. You ran the show. So talk to the people about what the charity was, how it started, and what you did.
Well, when I started doing comedy, we noticed that the people that were coming in were really having a good time and stuff. So I said, why not use this as a vehicle? Because we had, prior to starting comedy, we were giving funds to places like, you know, Padres contra Cancer, which is a cancer thing. We're a City of Hope and American Red Cross. So we finally said, why don't we do it for inner city people? Because there was a lot of kids in our neighborhood, man, that didn't have anything, you know. Mm-hmm. Like that old joke, the only thing they unwrapped was a tamale. And and we started doing that. We did it a year. And then we said, let's see how this works. And we did it a couple of years. And this went on, man, and it was getting bigger every time because we started off with maybe one charity, and then we ended up with maybe 60 charities by 30 years. And we've given out over $100,000 in toys, maybe more than that. And then we started,
way more than that.
And we started getting celebrities to come in and start doing, you know, giving their time up and joining us in this. And it got huge, man. But after 30 years, it was, you know, there was a lot of work involved, you know.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You do these things. And I know you're humble and you downplay it, but it is a lot of work. I mean, there were times when you were coordinating truckloads of literal truckloads of toys to various charities.
Right. We sent to the mission. We sent it to you know, Marine Corps. I mean, I can't list everybody because there's a whole bunch of people. But thank you too, man. Personally, I want to thank you for always being there. All of those, maybe 28 out of the 30 years you were there, man. So thank you.
Well. and again to the audience to speak to, and you know, obviously you're listening to this, you hear the mutual admiration between me and Rudy. We go back a long way. But this was the one that blew me away. In the midst of COVID, Rudy was in a parking lot behind a church collecting toys in a drive-by.
Right, exactly. In my neighborhood, that wasn't safe at all, man. You know what I mean? So what you got? You throw it out the window there, man. Oh, it's a Barbie doll. All right, you know. Yeah, we couldn't find a place, man. You know, everything was closed down. So when I talked to the guys at the local church there, they said, "Hey, if you want to come, you know, if they drive through the parking lot, is that okay with? That's fine with me. You know, nobody's here to make money, man. We're just trying to collect some toys." So we did.
It's an amazing charitable thing to do.
Thank you.
And to help people. And you do all of this quietly.
Kind of, yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, not kind of. I mean, I'm sure
thank you, man.
You have received some accolades for your charity, and we all know that you do it. Lord knows Steven Steakhouse knows the first guy to call.
That's the truth, man.
So anything going down at Steven Steakhouse, they got to call Rudy first.
Yeah, I'm there, man. You know.
But where does that come from? Where in your life does that come from?
Well, I grew up poor, man. I mean, you know, you always hear people talk about growing up poor. I didn't know I was poor. You know, I just figured, well, you ain't getting shit for Christmas. How's that? Well, I ain't got no choice. Let's eat, you know.
Yeah.
But on another note, my parents always tried to do what they could to at least have something under the tree, if we had a tree. But I knew the kids on my block, we weren't getting the big toys, man. We weren't getting the Hot Wheels. We weren't getting that kind of stuff. We had to, you know, get a jump rope or something, you know. And there was always this sense of, look, if you can have it, I'll give it to you. I don't really need it, man. So I guess that kind of stuck. And as we did this, like I said, when we started doing comedy, that was the perfect vehicle to start attracting people in and then sharing this idea. And the idea flourished, man, and it worked. And so, like I said, it was supposed to be 1 year, and it went on and on and on. And every year it got better, and every year we had more celebrities and more comics, name comics, and people were coming because of the attraction. So it was a win-win for everybody. They got entertained, we got our toys, the kids got theirs, so there it is.
That's fantastic.
Thanks.
And it's one of those things that you don't know how big a difference it makes.
Right.
Until you see the kids who are touched, like you said, the kids who may have grown up in a situation you grew up with where I ain't getting nothing this Christmas, and it's like suddenly, yeah, you are. Yeah, you are getting something this Christmas because, Arsenio's here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and to the people listening, that is the level. When he talks about name comics, that's the level we're talking about. We're talking about the top A-list comics coming down and doing spots, doing time.
Right.
To George Lopez and Arsenio and
Louis Anderson.
Right.
Yeah, all kinds of cats, man.
So it's not, I just want people to realize how big the charity goes, and this is the kind of thing that Rudy was coordinating. Now I'm bouncing back and forth.
Okay.
So I want to get back into comedy in the 90s because
oh boy. Okay.
Well, an interesting thing about comedy in the 90s, right? For Black comedians, it was about Def Jam, right? And Def Jam blew up on HBO, and along with it, Black comedy blew up within the culture. There was suddenly a lot of people, Bernie Mac and Chris Tucker and Martin and on, became household names because of that show. But the Latino comedy thing was also happening, maybe not initially not as big.
Right.
But you were there. You were like a part of this, and we were talking about this earlier. And you mentioned the names. It was George Lopez and Paul Rodriguez and Carlos Mencia.
Right.
How did it feel to be a part of that and watch it grow to where people, because through comedy, people learned about your culture.
Right. Right. Well,
I did not know what a chancla was.
I don't know what a chancla is. It was a good thing, man, because we were all learning and we were all trying to do what the Black comics were doing, because there was so much unity amongst that comedy community as opposed to the Latino comedy community. I'm telling you, man, the beefs, the jealousy, it's there. And I think that's part of the Latino culture almost. George Lopez does a whole bit on that about, somebody says, hey, man, I just graduated from here or something. They say, you think you're bad now or what? No, I'm proud of myself, man. I went to college. Yeah, whatever. It's always trying to put one down. But there are people there that are encouraging to one another. And Paul Rodriguez played a big part in that because he had some show, a pilot show that he did, and he put all the new guys on there. And Lopez was he was very, he was very helpful to me. He has a reputation for maybe not being as friendly and stuff like that, but to me, he's always been very cool. He's helped me out with a lot of things. He offered me a home one time because there was a point where my wife and I were just having a bad time, and we're trying to scrape stuff together, and George said, hey, you can come and live at my grandmother's house. I just remodeled it rent-free. I should have taken it, but I should have, man. I said, "Where is he?" He said, "The valley." I said, "Oh man, it's just too hot out there, dude. I'll stay. I'll live outside here." But he's been very kind. Carlos Mencia, I don't know him very well. Mm-hmm. I've worked with him a couple of times. I've never had a problem with him either. There's other people that might have, but in this community, we all kind of helped each other at first, and the more success people got, the less helpful it became, and that's kind of a shame, There are, and I'm not responsible for anybody's success, but there are Latino comics that have become very successful, but you don't hear back from them. And that's kind of a shame because I know Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence and Bernie Mac and all these cats gave back to the black community one way or another. And, it's not a thing that it's all the time because there are people that are helpful. Right, Latino comics that help each other or do shows and still book one another.
Well, you're one of them.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm one of them.
You might be
the last one.
I was going to say the key one, because you are the guy who connects George Lopez to a comic who's been doing it for a year. Right, and you end up on the same stage. And as a new comic, it's like now they have online masterclass, right? So that's your masterclass when you go to one of your rooms, whether it be the Ice House or any of the other rooms you booked over the years, and you're giving these kids an education that they can't buy anywhere. And another thing that speaks to you, and I want you to talk about this because, I'm going through a thing now where I'm trying to get comics for this charity. Okay. And it's always awkward to me to ask comics, hey, would you do this, would you do that? Yet you somehow have the ability to listen, in between filming movies, can you stop by this restaurant in Alhambra and do 15 minutes? And the next thing you know, they're there. Yeah. Like, how do you do that?
Alonzo, I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure how that happened. I was surprised. What? You're here? It's just, I don't know, man. We used to do it a lot at the Commerce Casino. I had a room at the Commerce Casino for about 10 years. And I would ask these people,
Okay, let me set this up for people, because when they hear the Commerce Casino, they're thinking Vegas.
Oh, no.
Commerce Casino ain't Vegas. The Commerce Casino
it's far from that.
Is a poker casino
in Mexico
where no one is smiling. There is nobody gambling in the Commerce Casino is happy about it. They are grinding out poker hands like a job. Okay, so go ahead and tell the story. The idea of doing comedy there.
I've seen more houses lost. The Commerce Casino they had a room, and we asked the guy, actually the sheriff's department, because I had done a bunch of stuff for them, had always had stuff there, so they told me, you should ask the people here if you can do comedy. And I did. And they said, yeah, okay, we'll try that. Again, it was supposed to be for a year, 6 months to a year, and then another 10 years, right? But we had celebrity comics that were going there to gamble. And when I'd ask them, I said, hey, I have a room at the Commerce Casino. They'd look at me like, there's a room at the Commerce Casino? Yeah, man. I said, you know where it's at? Oh, yeah, I know where it's at, But then they would show up, and they would come by, man. They would come by, and I don't know how or what it was that I asked them to get over there, but they would show up. And I was always very grateful for that, Maybe it was because I was at the Ice House all these years, and they recognized that I had been there forever, Brad Garrett came by.
Yeah.
And he came by the ice house, and when I told him, you know where the Commerce Casino's at, he looked at me like, I lost a lot of money down there. And, but he showed up, and it was always like, it gave us credibility, So if George would show up, or you would show up, or Brad Garrett, or somebody with a name, it gave us credibility. So we were doing better than other rooms because of that, But I don't think it's because of me, man. But I'm just saying.
I think it is. Honestly, I do, because you are the thread, like you're the through line in all of these places. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, and
didn't realize.
I remember, I'm forgetting his name. He's really good looking. He was on that show with Bob Saget. What's his name?
John
yeah, John Stamos.
Right.
I remember John Stamos hosting something in the back room of Steven's Steakhouse. Right. And I got there and I'm like, what in the hell is John Stamos doing? Does he know how close he is to East LA right now? Does he know he's 2 exits away?
2 exits, exactly. Yeah, he was there for a cancer fund we were doing. Right. Yeah. So him and who else was there? Dom Herrera was there too. So yeah, we've had our share of guys, man. I'm surprised they're there. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
You're the
here?
guy who books a show and then you're surprised people show
there.
up.
Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing here? You called me. Yeah. Oh, I did. Oh well. Sorry, man.
Oh man. So, let me ask you. I don't even know if this is serious or not. But
okay.
The city, LA.
Right.
This is your home.
Right.
You grew up here. You know this city. Where are we at right now, man? The city seems, obviously the homelessness thing is a big problem.
Right.
And then we've got, the gentrification going on and people being pushed out of their old neighborhoods. And what do you think? This is your city, man. What do you think's going on here? How do you think it's going to play out?
I've been hearing about this homeless problem for 25, 30 years, man. And it hasn't gotten any better. Promises and promises, like every politician that we've had there. I'm sure the politicians in the mayor's office have done some good things, just like the city council have done, but there's a lot of BS involved, and there hasn't been any good results lately. The gentrification thing, that is surprising, man, because as long as I've been living in LA, these same people have been living in those houses 30, 40 years. And all of a sudden, the majority of people are low income, so they're renting. So they don't own the property. But then this gentrification came in. They offered the homeowners some money. Everybody's got to go.
Where do they go?
Who knows, man? Because they might be paying $600 for rent for the last 20 years. Because the houses, let's face it, man, are kind of jacked up. But when you move now, the rents and the mortgages are extreme, man, I don't know where they go. Maybe they're the homeless people. You know what I mean? So they could very well be the homeless people that are out there on the tent. But we have a new mayor race coming up. I don't know either one of them.
Yeah.
I try to read up on both of them, and all I read up is dirt.
Right. Well, that's politics now.
Yeah, that's a common thing.
So,
yeah. So
you still love the city?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I've traveled in my career. I've traveled all over the place. A lot of nice places, maybe places not so much. But it always surprises me how the culture changes from state to state. Mm-hmm. That's why I tell somebody that comes from another country, so I want to develop an American accent. Well, which one? You want to go to New York and go, hey, how you doing? So you're going to go to the South and go, I don't like them people. So you came to California, you're a surfer. I mean, what's the deal, man? But the American culture is now so divided, and I have an idea who's to blame for that, but we're not going to talk about politics here.
I normally do, so you're giving them a good break from my normal spiel. So if you want to talk politics, fire away.
Well, let's just say this. The country is divided pretty much, and I think the last president that we had here has a lot to do with that. And I remember we just celebrated September 11th again. And I remember 21 years ago when this thing happened, man, the country was so united against foreigners or against foreign threats that it didn't matter if you were black, Asian, Latino, or white. Everybody was, I got you. I got your back. those days have passed, man. Now we're back to the same old horse shit of, you know, I don't like black people, I don't like white people, I don't like Mexicans. You know, it's back to that. So I'm looking for the day when it all happens, you know, that we all come together again. You know, it may be just a dream, man, but.
Dane Cook said something to me one time that I always loved. He said, man, if only the world was like a comics green room.
Right. Exactly. Absolutely, man. I got a picture in my office with a black comedian, a gay comedian, a white comedian, a Latino comedian, an Indian comedian, and a short guy. And everybody looks at that picture, they go, I know these comics. Nobody says, look, there's a black guy, there's an Indian guy, there's a white guy. Nobody says that. And it's a huge picture, man. It's in my office. And it's my favorite picture because that explains or that signifies exactly what we do in the green room, you know, or as comics. There's none of that bullshit, really.
Yeah, well, because we laugh at each other. I could remember doing those East LA rooms.
Right.
And especially late at night, me and Willie Barcena.
Right.
Literally yelling at each other black jokes and Mexican jokes from the audience while we're on stage. And you said it. It was hilarious. Right. And there was never a moment of, oh, man, Alonzo really hates Mexicans. Or,
right.
Oh, man, Willie really hates black people. It's like, no, man, we love you. That's why we're laughing at you. That's why we're laughing with you. How do we spread that? How do they get, like now, listen, we've said things to each other that are horrible, right? That extremely liberal people would cry if they heard some of the jokes we've made with each other. But humor makes that more, I don't know, it breaks it down, makes it palatable. But the Latino community, it's very interesting because obviously there's a lot of Mexican immigrants and Central and South American immigrants here, but there's a hell of a lot of natives.
Right.
And you guys know, because it's within your culture, you know where various people are from. How do you feel about the fingers being pointed? It's like, oh man, you know, what are you doing in this country? And you're like, I've been in this country longer than you.
Right, exactly, right? You know, Carlos Mencia did a joke. I don't know whose joke it was, but did I say that? No, you can edit that out. He had a joke. It was very funny. He said he was in a parking lot. Some redneck guy told me, he says, hey, man, I lost my keys in my car. You're Mexican. You can get them. Right? He says, so I broke his window. Get them, right? And it's funny. Sometimes the stereotypes are funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like I do a joke because recently I had I hope I don't change the direction of this, but I had a heart attack 2 years ago.
Yeah, we can talk about that stuff, but
okay. Well, let me answer your question.
Tell the joke, please.
Well, the joke was that I had a heart attack and these two paramedics showed up. It was a white guy and an Asian guy, and the white guy was in charge, of course, and he's got these wires on me, and he tells me, "Hey, you got to get to the hospital in 10 minutes. Do you understand?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, why? What's the problem, sir? 10 minutes. Understand?" I said, "Oh shit, yeah, let's go." So he tells the Asian guy, administer the medication. Well, I didn't know that this guy stuttered. So he goes, "Okay, Mr. Moreno, these pills are too." I go, "Hey, dude, he said 10 minutes. Let's go, man." Right? So the funny, and then this is happening. I'm thinking of all this stuff as I'm having a heart attack, and he's pushing me into the gurney. The white guy gets in the back of the ambulance with me, and he tells the Asian guy, "You drive." And I'm thinking, "Oh shit, I'll meet you there." Right? So, but stereotypes, right? I mean, the guy drove fine. He got me to the hospital in less than 10 minutes. I'm here. But the finger pointing, are you amongst Latinos? Are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about the fingers pointed at Latinos.
Oh, at Latinos.
Yeah.
Oh, that's been going on forever, man. Especially if you're not a Latino from here.
Right.
You know, because they get blamed. They're taking our jobs. They're doing this. They're street vendors. They shouldn't be doing all this other stuff. Amongst the Latinos, there's also people from Mexico don't necessarily like Mexicans from here because they figure we're not Mexican enough. Mm-hmm. And then if you come over, and if there's Mexicans coming from Mexico here, they're not American enough. Mm-hmm. You know, so that whole vibe, that whole, it's terrible, man. You know, you eventually get somebody to try to help them and go, hey, you know. Here.
It exists in every community. In the black community, that happens a lot between American blacks and Africans, because Africans are like, I know what country I'm from, and we don't have a country. And also black people from various islands for the same reason, because they have an identity. They're Jamaican or whatever, and we're just, I always joke like, nah, man, I'm just ordinary black. Like, I don't know, I'm just ordinary black. The truth is, my dad was from Honduras, so I have that, but he came to the country at a time where you dropped your culture and you just became American. And he looked black. He's a black Latino, so we just became black. Like,
okay.
Habla español?
Nope. That's funny, man.
You mentioned your heart attack, and thank God you're okay.
Thanks, man.
But another thing that you do, and again, Rudy, this is uniquely you keep the names alive of the comics we lost.
Oh, yeah.
That's important to you.
Absolutely, because these people brought joy to millions, man. You know what I mean? Either via TV or theaters or on CDs or whatever, streaming now. And, they live on, and we don't see them physically in clubs or in venues, but they're not to be forgotten, and in my opinion, they shouldn't be forgotten. And I'm talking about guys that I worked with. There's other comics that are from the 60s and 50s and all that have passed. Recently, Marty Ross, they're just going so fast, man. Because, back in the day in the 90s, one guy would pass away and he'd go, oh, man, that's too bad. But then there's 2 and 3 within 3 months, or within the year. And what's happening, And there's no tribute to them.
Right.
So this is my way of kind of making a tribute.
Well, you are. I mean, and your Facebook page, and to anyone who wants to see some of the history of comedy, it's Rudy Moreno, right? Your Facebook page is under your name, and you will see tributes to all of these great comics. And I knew a lot of them too.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to laugh together, and it was always surprising because, I mean, Marty was 82. Know, rest in peace. But he led a long, full life, which was fantastic. But a lot of them, man, we lost a lot. They were young, in their 40s, 50s.
Siddiqui Fuller, man, come on.
Yeah.
Freddie Soto, I mean.
Yeah, Freddie. I mean, Freddie was booked. It's like, Freddie, you can't be gone.
Right.
You got a spot at the store on Friday. What the hell's wrong with you?
Right.
Knock it off.
Yeah, get up from there, man. Yeah, and that night he was at the Commerce Casino and he says, hey, man, I'm going to hit the store right now, so I'm going to leave. I said, you're not going to hang out for a while? Watch the other comics and shoot the shit. He says, no, I got to go, man. And he walked up, and it was funny because I saw him walk away. I never watch anybody walk away, unless beautiful woman, you might want to watch that. But I see him walking away, and I thought, wow, okay, man. And then the next day, Debbie Gutierrez, which is another comic, she called me up and she says, hey, he's gone. I'm like, who's gone? She says, Freddie. All right, Freddie who? Right. She says, well, Freddie Soto. I said, where'd he go? Back to Texas?
Yeah, it was impossible.
It was impossible. And it was just shocking, man. And I don't know the reason he passed away. I just know he was very young. He was a very talented comic. Amongst all those comics that I pay tribute to, they're all talented, man. Marilyn, Vic Dunlop, all these people,
Marilyn was hilarious.
Oh,
Marilyn,
funny.
To my audience, if you could think of Roseanne being Mexican, right? That would be
absolutely
that would be Marilyn.
That's her.
Unapologetic, in your face,
exactly,
and hilarious. Yeah.
And then aside from offstage, just the sweetest woman ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Rich Scheidner, and this is just coming to me now because it's you. Rich Scheidner does a show called The History of Comedy, and he talks about comedy he started like in the 70s and from before that and all. You should be the official chronicle of Latino comedy. Like, you should be the guy, and if not nationwide, definitely L.A.
Right.
LA's Latino comedy scene, because it is true, Rudy, everyone has done a Rudy Moreno show, hey, Jay Leno, oh yeah, I've done Rudy. like he has. You know what I mean? Like, there's nobody, whether they be one of these new comics now that nobody knows your name. You have 17 million YouTube followers, and we don't know how that happened, but nobody knows your name.
Right, exactly. How's that happen, man?
They're doing your shows, and at the same time, like we said, all of these A-listers have done the shows. Have you ever thought of compiling all this personal history?
Oh man, I have thought about it. I don't know if I have the time or the grammar.
I know now you're traveling with a rock band, for God's sake.
Well, no. You know, man.
I was going to write a book, but I decided to rock out.
Yeah, I decided to do that. And, you know, that's been always something that I've always wanted to do. And it was funny because we had moved from, my wife and I had moved to this new house in this new neighborhood. And the guy next door played guitar. So I told him, well, I play guitar too. He says, well, let's start a band. Just like, you know, sure, let's do that, you know. So we got together and we got a couple more people. And we got this fantastic singer, this young lady named Marisol Ricacho, Filipino gal, sings her ass off, man. And the band is good. We're going to be opening for War. We've already opened for Oingo Boingo. We've opened for this guy Danny Serafin, who used to be with Chicago. Not to plug the band, but
absolutely plug the band. Tell the people the name of the band, where to find the band, and how to check it out.
You're right there. Okay. Gee, did I wear this on purpose? Voodoo Syndicate. And yeah, we've been together about 5 years, man, and we've been working really, really hard. We're all over Southern California, and you know, look out for us. Just come see us, man. It's a good classic rock band. You know, so
that's phenomenal.
All the old people come.
Yeah. What's cool about that, and this is something else I wanted to talk to you before we wrap up. Your positivity.
Oh, thanks.
Your positivity is a constant, and I mean, obviously getting this band going and doing a completely new thing at this point in your career,
crazy,
and at this point in your life is crazy. Right. But you've always, you know, listen, this business will wear you out. This business will wear you down, and like you said, having watched comics and, oh man, that guy started with me and now he's worth $1 gazillion and he won't return a phone call or he won't drop by or this or that. But you've never become cynical or bitter or angry about that. Whereas, and we know a lot of people have, you know, a lot of people are like, where's mine?
Right.
How do you maintain that?
Well, I never feel responsible for their success. I may have contributed.
Well, no, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about you.
Oh, about me.
I'm talking about, you maintain positivity in light of things that would cause others.
Well, I just don't talk to them. No, I just stopped talking to all them.
It's a secret.
Yeah. No, I'm good, man. You know, especially after this heart attack. You know, you get a second chance like that, and your outlook is a little different. You know, I'm still a grouchy guy, man. I'm still, you know. I still get upset about things that I shouldn't get upset about, but the positivity, I think, comes from my family, especially my wife. My wife has always been very cool about everything. I said, I'm leaving the gas company after so many years, and I'm going to do stand-up comedy starting tomorrow. She said, okay, can you pay the bills? I said, I think so. Well, if you can pay the bills, you can do the comedy, but until you bring home a check, you know. But yeah, she's been very, very supportive, man. You know.
How long you married?
Oh Jesus, we've been together. See, when did dinosaurs roam the earth? 40 years.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, 40 years.
I've been lucky enough to meet your whole family.
Yeah, they love you, man.
Plenty of benefits. I watch your kids. Literally, we watch kids grow up. You're like, wait a minute. You were a little girl. Right?
Yeah.
You're a woman now.
They're older than I am now. Yeah, man. So that I say that would be the reason, you know. Plus, you know, you have to work, man. You know, I'm supposed to retire now at 65. If I retire, I'm just going to be watching I Love Lucy on the couch all day. You know what I mean? But if I have to, you know, I've had some success where it's been like, you know, here, we got a pilot for you. We have a holding deal for you. We have this kind of thing. And, you know, you're going to play the Greek Theater. You're going to play the Alamo Dome. I've had those kind of things that have kind of said, oh, this is great, man. You know, I dig this. But then there's been other times, as you know, as a comic, where they go, well, you're going to play at Rudy's liquor store gig, you know, in June. You know, don't leave. But the balance is good, you know, because it keeps you humble. And then there's times where you're thinking, oh, shit, I'm on my way. And then the next week, you know, you're at the Black Angus doing comedy for 4 people. You know?
I remember the first time I did a gala at Just for Laughs. That's the TV show they record. It's all across Canada. I did my gala, I think, on Monday in Montreal. And that Friday, I was booked at the VFW in Riverside.
Right. Yeah, right. That's the gig.
It's like, man, they won't even give you a week.
No, no, man. It's the learning experience. It is a learning experience, you know. I mean, I never traveled before I started doing comedy. I was a California, LA kid, adult, you know, husband, father, all this time. And when I started traveling, I started going to all these different places. It was cool, man. This is a great gig, you know. And people say, well, it beats digging ditches. Well, I've done that too. And yeah, it does beat digging ditches.
You can actually tell them.
Absolutely, man. So
I'm looking at your Dodger hat.
Yeah.
They going to do it this year?
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
All the way. They better.
And this is another thing. You can be an LA fan because you're from here, right? So you can still claim the Raiders if you want, or the Rams.
No, Rams maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have connection to LA teams. Lakers or Clippers?
Lakers.
Yeah, you're a Laker guy. Yeah. You know I'm a Clipper guy, but we still cool.
Yeah, we're cool.
You know, we all right. Rudy, I can't tell you how much fun this was.
Oh man, it's my pleasure.
I love chopping it up with you. We don't get together as often. You know, like I say, one of the things that happens when you start becoming successful as a comedian, you never see your friends.
True.
Because you're going to the Alamo Dome and I'm going to, you know, the Chuckle Hut in Tacoma or whatever it is. So we cross paths online and stuff like that. So it is so good to just sit and talk with you, man.
Good, man.
I appreciate you coming down here. I appreciate you coming to the Valley in the heat.
Yeah, man. I've been here since 6 in the morning. No, it's always a pleasure with you, man. You know, like you said, we don't see each other enough to sit and talk and chop it up and stuff. But this, you know, I see you in December.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, definitely.
And it's been a pleasure, man. And
if the Ice House ever does reopen, we'll get back there.
It's supposed to open in January.
Tell everyone how to find you online, how to get your shows, and how to see the Voodoo Syndicate.
Well,
you're the only guy who can host your own show.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, come into the stage, the Voodoo Syndicate. Then you got to jump up and grab the guitar.
Yeah, I got to get the guitar. Tell two jokes per song. And that's the thing with the band, because sometimes we're figuring, what song was it? Rudy, tell a joke. I'm not here to tell jokes, damn it. You know. Well, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Twitter. So comedian Rudy Moreno on Facebook. Moreno.Rudy on Instagram, and I forget what I am on Twitter. I'm old now, man. I can't remember yesterday. I love that joke that you do about instant replay. You know.
Oh man,
because men can't remember what you just saw.
It's so true. It's so true. Men invented instant replay because we forgot stuff we just saw.
We just saw.
We literally just saw. What happened? I don't know. Look at the replay.
I don't know exactly.
I was only looking at it while it happened.
Right.
And it's gone. It's gone.
It's gone.
I love you, brother.
I love you too, bro.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for having me, man. It's
all right.
Pleasure.
I am going to be appearing this weekend at Helium in Buffalo, and next weekend I'm going to be around LA doing local stuff. They finally let me stay home for a weekend, so I'm looking forward to that. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Again, the phenomenal Rudy Moreno, the living history of Latino comedy.
Thank you, man.
And we out.
We out.